And I think Shedeur's come miles in terms of his progressions, getting the ball out, his understanding of concepts. I think he's really, really come a long way.
Todd Monken is loving the dual threat ability that Shedeur Sanders has appeared to add to his game.
Todd Monken did not need to name Shedeur Sanders QB1 to send a message. He just pointed at the one thing that could change the whole quarterback battle. Shedeur is making quicker decisions now. The ball is coming out faster. He is processing cleaner. And that is not a small update. That is the exact ability he needed to add. Because the biggest knock on Shedeur was never that he had no arm. It was never that he could not make big throws. The knock was that he held the ball too long. Monken knows it, the Browns know it, and now Shedeur is finally attacking that weakness. Monken did not praise something random. He praised the one skill that separates a talented quarterback from a trusted quarterback: faster processing, quicker release, fewer lost-yard plays. That is the difference between a nice camp throw and a real NFL drive. Shedeur always had the confidence, he has always had the touch, he has always had the name. But if he can now get the ball out on time, the Browns have to look at him differently, because that means he is not just flashing anymore, he is learning how to survive.
But his ability to process quicker and get the ball out of his hands and eliminate lost yardage plays is going to be huge for us to be able to stack plays and score, which is ultimately the number one thing here.
This is the part people keep missing. Monken is not trying to build a highlight quarterback. He is trying to build a winning offense. That means the quarterback has to play within structure. Read it, decide it, throw it, live for the next down. Shedeur's old problem was that he sometimes wanted to make the perfect play instead of the right play. That can work in college when you are the best player on the field. In the NFL, that gets you hit. That kills drives. That turns 2nd and 6 into 3rd and 14. So when Monken says the ball is coming out faster, that is a real development. The timing of this praise makes it even bigger. Shedeur is not improving in an empty quarterback room. He is doing it while Deshaun Watson is trying to hold the job. That is why every detail matters. Watson has the experience, Watson has the contract, Watson has seen NFL defenses. So Shedeur cannot just win with excitement, he has to win with operation. He has to show Monken he can get the offense in and out of plays. He has to show he can hit the quick answer. He has to show he will not invite unnecessary sacks. That is how a young quarterback starts stealing trust.
According to Jeremy Fowler, Shedeur Sanders has bridged the gap between him and Deshaun Watson. He said Shedeur has bridged the gap at least somewhat.
That is why the Close the Gap report hits harder now. It's not just hype, it's connected to a specific improvement. Shedeur is getting better in the part of the game coaches care about most. Not the camera-friendly part, not the deep ball part, the boring part, the adult quarterback part. Can you diagnose it fast? Can you take the easy throw? Can you avoid the negative play? Can you keep the offense on schedule? If Shedeur is answering yes more often, then Watson's lead gets smaller.
He said that we had 2 starting quarterbacks the other day, right? Like, yeah, he's certainly trying to pump some confidence into that room. We'll see if that pays out. But certainly, Todd's been trying to talk up this room, say that they're going to be better than what they're going to be. Again, we've been sold this bill of goods before, maybe not by Kevin Stefanski, but certainly by every other coach other than Kevin Stefanski.
And this is where Browns analysts started paying attention, because quicker decisions change how the whole offense can function. If Shedeur gets the ball out fast, KC Concepcion becomes more dangerous on quick touches. Fannin Jr. gets more chances over the middle. Jerry Jeudy gets the ball in rhythm. Cedric Tillman gets cleaner timing outside. The running backs get more help because defenses can't just tee off on long developing plays. One quarterback improvement creates a ripple through the whole roster. That is the real key. Shedeur does not need to turn into a runner who saves every play with his legs. He does not need to play hero ball. He needs to become the quarterback who gets the ball to the right player before the defense wins. That is why Monken's praise matters. This offense has young weapons now, but weapons only matter if the quarterback throws on time. Concepcion cannot create after the catch if the ball arrives late. Fannin cannot punish linebackers if the quarterback waits until the window closes. Judkins cannot control the game if the offense keeps taking sacks. Timing unlocks everything. This is why charting becomes more important than opinions. Fans can argue all day about who looks better, but coaches are looking at details. Was the read right? Was the ball out on time? Was the throw catchable? Did the quarterback avoid the sack? Did he make the offense easier or harder? That is where Shedeur has to win. If his decision-making keeps improving and the accuracy stays clean, then this becomes more than a nice minicamp story. It becomes evidence.
One of the things he talked about this week, Ashley, was taking completions, right? And I think he did that a lot today. Now, look, there were a few moments that I'm sure he'd like to have back. There were 2 interceptions. I don't know how much we want to put on him for the one that bounced off Quinshon's hands. A couple sacks, obviously, took that intentional grounding. But we're seeing these just little by little, these signs of him starting to put all these lessons together that he's had to learn over these.
The sack number is the reason Monken cares so much. Shedeur took too many hits last season. Some of that was the offensive line, some of that was the offense, but some of it was also the quarterback holding the ball. That is the hard truth. You cannot be a starting quarterback in the AFC North if every drive has a lost yard play waiting to happen. Baltimore will punish it. Pittsburgh will punish it. Cincinnati will punish it. Every defense in this division wants to turn hesitation into pain. So Shedeur adding faster decisions is not just nice, it is survival. That is what makes this dangerous for Watson. If Shedeur was only winning with flash, Watson could lean on experience. But if Shedeur starts winning with timing, processing, and fewer negative plays, the argument changes. That is the veteran stuff. That is the stuff coaches trust. Watson still has the inside track if he looks cleaner and more controlled, but Shedeur is now attacking the exact area that could make him playable sooner. That is why Monken sounds excited. He is not seeing a finished product. He is seeing a young quarterback fixing the thing that held him back. And that is why the national conversation will not go away. This is a real competition, not because Shedeur is already perfect, not because Watson is finished, but because Shedeur is getting better at the part that makes a quarterback trustworthy. When a young player fixes his biggest weakness, the whole room feels different. The coaches stop just hoping. They start imagining. What if the quick game works? What if the sack problem drops? What if the offense gets rhythm? What if the young quarterback is not as far away as people thought? The improvement has to keep showing up in the work. Not one day, not one quote, not one viral throw. Every day. Shedeur has to stack reps, stack decisions, stack clean plays, stack drives. That is how a quarterback wins trust. The Browns do not need him to prove he can be famous. They already know that. They need him to prove he can be efficient. And that is exactly what Monken is watching. So yes, Todd Monken should be excited, because Shedeur Sanders did not just add a new trick, he added the skill that could change everything. Quicker decisions, faster processing, the ball out on time, fewer lost yards, more rhythm. That is how a quarterback grows up, not by making every play bigger, but by making the right play faster. That is what Shedeur had to learn, and if he keeps learning it, the Browns' quarterback battle becomes much more dangerous, because Watson's advantage has always been experience, but experience matters less when the young quarterback starts playing faster mentally. That is when a can't battle turns. That is when coaches start looking twice. That is when a player who was supposed to wait suddenly becomes impossible to ignore. Shedeur still has to prove it with pads on. He still has to prove it when defenses disguise coverage. He still has to prove it when pressure comes from the blind side. He still has to prove it in preseason. But the new ability is real enough for Monken to mention, and that is why this story matters. The Browns are not just watching Shedeur throw. They're watching him process. They're watching him mature. They're watching him remove the plays that used to hurt him. And if he keeps doing that, Cleveland may have a real problem, the good kind, because the quarterback they thought needed more time might be learning the one thing that makes time move faster.